What's up, guys? Welcome back to Newswave. So it looks like a new update dropped on the Switch, Firmware 9.0.0, and it brings actually a little bit more than we're used to stability updates at this point, right? So if it's like anything extra, it's like, oh wow, okay, something. Not folders, not themes, not messaging your friends, but a few other things. So baby steps, right? But it looks like it actually might be activating something that you've had since the launch of the Switch that some people didn't even know about until they plugged it into their computer, and that's being your controller. So we're going to go over that. And then also, Project Resistance got a trailer. Looks okay, we'll talk about that. And then it looks like Square is the one pushing for crossplay between the PlayStation 4 and the Switch. I'll go over all of that and more today, guys. As always, enjoy these videos. Make sure you hit the like button. It does help out. And get subscribed so you can stay up to date on all of the gaming news going on in the gaming world. We're going to start today with the Dreamcast. Technically, the Dreamcast yesterday turned 20, and there were a lot of people talking about it, celebrating it even, making videos on it. It was a lot of fun. I actually did a little bit in Dreamcast Guys video, so check that one out. It was pretty cool to talk about the Dreamcast. Always up for that. I did a few videos on the system, whether it was teardowns, installing HDMI into it, and I do like that system a lot. And it was really funny to see it turn 20 because, yes, that does make me realize that I'm getting old as I remember that system growing up, but it also does give us a nice look back on how Sega managed to shape the gaming world as we know it now, with the Dreamcast having features that are, online play being packaged in when you got the system with a modem. That was pretty revolutionary at the time to just come stock with the system, and overall it was pretty cool. It's a shame it was Sega's last system, but hey, there's 20 years now, and I guess that means next year it'll be old enough to drink. Also, Borderlands 3 had its embargo lifted. Kind of. It's a weird situation around the Borderlands 3 reviews. See, it appears that console reviews didn't really go out, I guess, as we expect them to, where they go out a few days early and, different companies can check them out. And we have, of course, plenty of press and media outlets put out scores. It looks like right now it was PC. It went out through the Epic Store. Kotaku did a whole article on this, but at this point it's sitting at an 85 on Metacritic, which is pretty good, I think. Reading through a lot of them, it does talk about how it's Borderlands to me as usual, and that's what I want. A bigger Borderlands. So I'm really looking forward to this one. It's coming out Friday. I'll probably grab it on the Xbox One since I have the X to play it on and I don't feel like going through the Epic Store on PC. But I did notice that it seems to be pretty serious on PC in terms of the horsepower required to play it, where we had different places like PC Gamer pointing out that even an RTX 2080 has a harder time pushing over 60 frames per second at 1440p Ultra. So interestingly enough, this game is one of the harder games to run in the last year. Oh, and we're finally going to see more information about Last of Us Part 2, which is a game that I'm very curious about, specifically when it's coming out, but we've seen bits and pieces of it. We've seen full gameplay at times as well, where we saw like a 15-minute segment, and it looked good. Visually, it looks amazing. I want to see a bit more about it so we can kind of place a bit more about the story and everything, but I also kind of want to see when it's coming out, because I don't think it's coming out this year with Death Stranding, obviously, and it's a bit late to announce a release date. I think it is next year, possibly early 2020, and there's a media event, as you're seeing here. Jeff Keighley went ahead and tweeted this out, which is an image showing the 24th of this month in LA, there will be a full media event. People are going to RSVP for it, which means we'll probably see a bunch more information at that time. So if you've been waiting for anything about Last of Us Part 2, make sure you tune in, I guess, the Newswave after that day on the 25th, because we'll be going over all of the cool stuff that hopefully gets unveiled there. I'm hoping it's not like an event they invite to and then they do an embargo on. I'm hoping we find out quite a bit then. Also, in some fun news, this is actually something that was tweeted out, as you're seeing here, from Lance McDonald, who managed to fix the camera in PT, which of course is a legendary demo at this point. It's hard to believe it's even a demo with some of the details and crazy stuff they did in this, but they managed to figure out that the ghost that tends to scare you, or Lisa in the game, will actually follow you around. She's been following you around the whole time when you walk through that hallway, which is super creepy and a little off-putting there now that I think about it, going back to try to play the demo on a PS4 that still has it. Just the details that were put into just a demo is insane, and it makes me, and I'm sure several people, kind of sad that that never came to be. But hey, if you have a PS4 that still has it on it, go check it out and think to yourself, Lisa's behind you the entire time. And guys, some of the quick news out of the way, let's get into the bigger stuff. Let's talk about this new firmware update for the Nintendo Switch. It's update 9.0.0, and it actually adds a bit more than the standard stability to fix, obviously, if your Switch keeps falling over, it won't after the update. Well, now there's a bit more. Some of it doesn't appear to be utilized just yet. It appears to be updates for the future, games that might even be patched in that would then work with it, prior games. So let's take a look at just the overall patch notes as you're seeing here. And you can see at the top, added a search feature for the news channel, which is fine. So you can just, I guess, search through the news channel at that point. Added display QR code to check in. That's, I guess, for different events and everything for your Nintendo account where you can display your QR code. An alarm notification, which is added to system settings notifications. They haven't shown really what this is for. This appears to be a future thing that's going to happen. I assume it will be used in something like Animal Crossing, for example, and that'll let you check on your alarms. But what's really neat about this, something I noticed, because it is asking, by the way, for a controller firmware update, and I think the reason it's asking for that, if you look in the menu of your Switch, it talks about a notification on your controller, notification light, for example, LED, and that would be around your home button. Do you remember that blue light around the home button that some of us figured out was there when we plugged it into our computers? I remember doing this, and I posted it on Twitter, and a lot of people said, I didn't even know this thing had an LED. Yeah, around the home button on your Joy-Con or your Pro Controller, both of those have that. So I assume this is a way that it would use it, and it seems to, I guess, vibrate, maybe the controller, hard to say on that end, but it does look like it would light it up blue and actually use that, which is actually pretty neat to finally see that thing used. It just took years into the Switch's lifespan to actually use it, but hey, I guess that's good that it is being used finally. We'll see what the alarms and everything do, but there are a few other things that, with the biggest one being invites. Yeah, that's right. There appears to be online play invites. Now, this could be good, but again, don't have anything that really seems to actually support this yet. Basically, you go into your profile, you can then go down to online play invites, and you can see all of your invites basically sorted out there. So if somebody is playing, let's say, Doom Eternal, because I assume that's a game that's going to be using it, and they send you an invite, you can then go in there, you can, I guess, pick it, and it'll tell you to then launch the game. Maybe you have to insert the cartridge. Maybe you already have it downloaded, and it just launches the game. This is a good step in the right direction. And again, maybe they have it set up with this notification thing with an alarm maybe set up, where if you get an invite, it could start glowing or something. I mean, we'll see about all of that, how all of this comes together. But I am glad to see that invites appear to be kind of shaping out here. Again, years into the system's life, but they gotta start somewhere, I guess. They also have a setting to change just the overall sensitivity of the touchscreen, which you can play around with and I guess try out. I'm not really sure. I guess people wanted it to be more sensitive or not. I have heard some people say it would work better possibly with a stylus or something like Mario Maker, for example, but I'm not 100% sure on that one. But hey, you can change the sensitivity of the touchscreen, which is cool. And they also fixed an issue that was going on with Fire Emblem and the DLC and stuff. And then, of course, added system stability just to make sure everything's solid and well balanced there. But I do like the inclusion of the notification. I think that could end up being pretty cool if the alarms are actually set up in different games. However, that's going to have to be something I assume that's patched in or is part of games that are coming out. Animal Crossing seems like an obvious one to me anyway with the alarms, but you never know. They could have some other ones. And then the invites, most likely, I assume something like Luigi's Mansion will probably utilize it. Doom Eternal will probably utilize it. Think of things, obviously, where you want to invite your friends. That would make sense. We'll see if other games get patched in as we go along, like they go back and do stuff with, So I know Splatoon is integrated into the phone app and everything, and Smash has its own setup and all of that, but I guess if the game invites tab works for that too, that's only going to be more helpful. So overall, hey, step in the right direction with 9.0.0. It still doesn't have folders. We still don't have themes, for example. You still can't message your friends. but the controller lights up. Next up, let's talk about a VR patent that appears to have gone live now with Nintendo. It was found, as you're seeing here. This is from Let's Go Digital. They have it marked up and everything there, but this appears to be similar to what the Labo VR is doing, but it's not something you have to build out of cardboard. It looks like it's just its own like plastic setup and everything. You still have to hold it to your face, so it doesn't seem to have a strap of any kind, like to go around your head, but at least it's not something you would have to build. Now, it doesn't necessarily mean that this is coming out. Again, it's a patent. However, I can at least see why Nintendo might want to release a cheaper VR setup that you don't even have to build, because some people, of course, are going to look at Labo and say it's cardboard. I don't really feel like building it. I just kind of want to buy the thing and have it, and I just set it up. And then you'll also not have the we'll say the uneasiness of cardboard, where it goes together, right? But it's not necessarily all the way together at all times. You might have a fold here that's not completely folded, and you'll get some light shining through and stuff. This would make it so that Nintendo can make sure that everything is set up as it needs to be right there in one piece, and I assume it wouldn't be that expensive considering it's just plastic, some lenses and everything. I mean, the VR setup isn't that expensive if you really look at it with everything that's with it, so I would expect this to be like $20, maybe $25. Who knows, it's Nintendo, so maybe it'll be more, but it's a patent for now. However, it at least makes sense if Nintendo can continue forward with VR and make some obvious improvements into the next generation of the Switch that maybe leans more into it. Because to be honest, the VR that we have that's like on the Switch now with Labo and everything seems like the Switch wasn't necessarily built with VR in mind, but they at least wanted to try the idea to see if it worked, and I'm kind of thinking it did if they're still moving forward with it here. Next up, let's talk about Final Fantasy Crystal Chronicles. We have a release date on the HD remaster that's coming out. It also sounds like there's going to be some extra dungeons and some new content in the game, which is pretty awesome. I liked this game on the GameCube back in the day. There were just some major drawbacks, like, you know, needing Game Boy Advances and System Link if you want to do all that, or the link to the Game Boy Advance if you wanted to have the screen and everything. This seems like it might work a bit better with online play, but it is coming out on iOS, Android, PlayStation 4, and the Nintendo Switch, and that's happening January 23rd, 2020. So we were kind of thinking it would have fallen into the holiday season now, but honestly, it might just be getting too packed. I get it. It might just be easier to push it to January and be good there, where it's less crowded, so that's fine. But what's interesting about this is Square also announced that there will be crossplay, seemingly, between the PlayStation 4 and the Switch, iOS, and Android. Now, I wanted to just clarify, because it wasn't explicitly said in their press release that it would be PS4 and Switch, and I just wanted to verify. It at least looks like it is so far, which is good. The reason I think this is good is because if Square can make this crossplay, there's always a chance that something like Final Fantasy XIV maybe could become crossplay compatible as well. Maybe Sony's loosening their stance on crossplay a bit, because that is the big hangup that we heard for Final Fantasy XIV for other platforms, was that they wanted it to be, you know, one big server, basically. Everyone's together, right? So they need a crossplay, but at the time, Sony was being pretty stingy with the crossplay stuff, so it wasn't happening. But hey, maybe this is the start of something new. Maybe going into next year, we can see Final Fantasy XIV go everywhere. Go to all platforms, Xbox and Switch and PS4, and everyone can just play together, PC and everything. That would be pretty neat. But for now, Crystal Chronicles appears to be kind of breaking some new ground there with Square and crossplay between the PS4 and the Switch. And hey, I'm looking forward to it. I liked it on the GameCube. I'm ready to jump back in starting next year. And our last bit of news, if you missed it, Project Resistance got a trailer, kind of. I mean, it's a CG trailer. Here's the thing, whenever they show it off with that, it's kind of annoying because you don't actually see what the game is like. I mean, you get an idea because they're trying to explain, you know, the story and everything, but so far it looks kind of like Left 4 Dead mixed with Resident Evil, which, I mean, it's what we thought it would be with like something like Outbreak, right? You go online and everything worked together against different computer-controlled enemies, of player versus enemy. But then they showed Mr. X at the end, and that was pretty cool to see that, to see him kind of kind of walk into frame. I don't know what they thought they were going to do. They should just start running right away. But it was pretty cool to see that happen. Overall, they're just setting us up for Tokyo Game Show, where we should find out quite a bit more. I assume they're going to play it on live stream, which will be good to see as well, just to kind of get an idea how this game's going to control, what it's going to look like. Currently, it's slated for the PlayStation 4, Xbox One, and PC. They labeled Steam specifically for anyone concerned about Epic Game Store stuff, but I will say Capcom has been pretty good, actually, about putting their stuff on Steam and kind of avoiding that Epic Game Store exclusivity stuff. But so far, I'm not sure. I need to see more about this game because I'm trying to figure out if it's going to go the way of like a Left 4 Dead, or maybe they'll stick more with Outbreak. Is there a full story that you all go through? Can you play through it solo with bots? Are the bots going to ruin the game for you? A lot of questions, and I'm hoping at Tokyo Game Show we get a bunch of answers. And we'll finish up with the comment of the day, as you're seeing here. This one is from Nova Bushido, and he says, 2019, and I'm still waiting to be able to message my friends on the system. That's the thing about the Switch. Messaging's probably a next-gen thing. I thought about that, and I'm like, man, what if we go this entire generation without being able to message people on your friends list that people have agreed to be friends by typing in that long friends code, or I guess doing adding friends through Facebook. Either way, you've pretty much said, I'm okay getting messages from this person to communicate back and forth to them. I think it's okay to get a message, from them at that point. Still not there yet, and I'm concerned that we're gonna get to the end of this generation, right, for the Switch, and everything's gonna be set up online, right? Like, messaging, that sounds like a fourth year upgrade, right? We get to the end of the generation, everything looks okay, it's normal. Then we go to the next generation, it starts all over. That's my one concern. I'm hoping because the Switch is supposed to be a family of systems, that doesn't happen. But I mean, the Wii U had more function. The Wii had the 3D, the DS, they all had more functionality right now than the Switch, and it's kind of depressing now that you really think about it. So I'm hoping that Nintendo cleans all this up, gets their acts together with the online and the functionality before the next generation, and everything just carries over and they can build on top of it. But it's Nintendo, so you never really know. And ladies and gentlemen, that's gonna do it here for Newswave. If you enjoyed this video, guys, the like button really helps out. If not, hit the dislike. Leave comments down below about everything we talked about today, whether it's that Project Resistance trailer. What do you think about it so far? I know it's a CG trailer, and I do get a little annoyed when companies show off their game for the first time with CG if we can't really tell what it is. Like, just throw like 5 seconds, 10 seconds gameplay in there, Also, let me know what you think about the update 9.0.0 on the Switch. And then what about Final Fantasy Crystal Chronicles and seemingly Square getting Sony and Nintendo together in crossplay? And I guess you could throw phones in there too, and tablets with iOS and Android. Thanks guys for watching, and I'll see you next time.